Once the leather-jacketed drifter in BJ and the Bear, now Greg Evigan embraces quieter roles behind the scenes. The thick mane is thinner, the jawline softer, but his artistic drive remains intact. As network TV faded, he adapted, composing music and mentoring off-camera with steady grace. Like an old broadcast signal, distilled but enduring, Dan Rather, once the face of American news, now penned sharp insights from the sidelines. The signature deep timbre has softened, posture more stooped, but his voice still cuts through noise, championing truth in an age that redefined journalism. Remember the tender teen idol from Ice Castles and Beauty and the Beast? Robbie Benson traded spotlight for classrooms and sound booths. Though heart surgery changed his pace, not his passion. His hair grayer, gait gentler, yet he inspires, directing with depth shaped by decades of quiet reinvention. Once the cool-headed MacGyver who could defuse bombs with duct tape, Richard Dean Anderson now enjoys a quieter life, trading action-packed scripts for nature and solitude. His rugged jawline softened, silver hair grown long. He's embraced introspection over the industry spotlight. Like a vinyl record with a permanent groove, Bobby Sherman's voice still echoes from the era when teen idols ruled Tiger Beat. Now 81, with silver hair and a calm gait, the former Here Come the Bride's star stepped away from fame to serve as a medic, proving heartthrobs can also be heroes. In the 80s, he rode desert storms in Rich Man, Poor Man, a chiseled emblem of televised drama. Today, Peter Strauss tends to citrus groves and theater scripts, his once youthful stride replaced by a thoughtful calm. TV's industry shifts only sharpened his passion for meaningful work. Once green and growling as the Incredible Hulk, Lou Ferrigno now trains bodies and minds in quiet strength. The sculpted physique has mellowed, his frame slower, but the presence remains imposing. As superhero cinema evolved, he pivoted, advocating fitness and hearing awareness with lasting impact. In pastel blazers and no socks, Miami Vice's Don Johnson ruled the 80s screen. Today, his silvered hair and layered style reflect a veteran who's seen trends come full circle. Typecast once as the cool cop, he reinvented through indie films and streaming hits, riding TV's new golden age with ease. Like a vintage action reel, Lee Majors, the $6 Million Man, endures with analog charm. The steely jaw now softened, hair whiter, but his grin still sells a punchline. As blockbusters overshadowed stunt-driven TV, he chose legacy roles and fan events, bridging past and present with humor. He once sprinted in slow motion on Baywatch, the epitome of beachside bravado. Now 72, David Hasselhoff trades red trunks for concert stages and European tours, his hair grayer, his grin undimmed. Once TV's lifeguard of fantasy, he now channels fame into music, mentoring, and legacy work. Before we continue these amazing celebrity transformations, here's a quick challenge for you. Can you subscribe to Then vs. Now Legends in the next 5 seconds? Smash that subscribe button and join us on this journey through time with your favorite stars. Like a finely aged script, Ted Danson's career rewrites itself with each era. From Cheers' barkeep to The Good Place sage, his crisp white hair and upright posture reflect thoughtful evolution. As streaming reshaped TV, he adapted, balancing humor, grace, and roles with moral weight. Once the charming housekeeper in Who's the Boss, Tony Danza now leans into quieter roles: teacher, jazz crooner, mentor. His boxer's physique has mellowed, his hair thinned, but his eyes still spark with that unmistakable Brooklyn warmth. Fame faded, but his purpose only deepened. Once the suave charm of Heart to Heart, Robert Wagner now carries his legacy with quiet elegance. The tuxedos are gone, replaced by cardigans and memoirs, yet his eyes still hold a debonair glint. As glossy network dramas gave way to streaming grit, he preserved old Hollywood sparkle in guest roles and retrospectives. From college quarterback to NCIS's stoic Gibbs, Mark Harmon mastered the art of restraint. Now semi-retired, with silvered hair and a slower stride, he crafts stories behind the lens. As police procedurals evolved, he chose to shape narratives off-screen, guarding his privacy while deepening his creative mark. Cigars, charm, and chaos, Dirk Benedict's A-Team swagger once lit up screens. Now at 80, the golden curls have grayed and the spotlight dimmed, but his rebel streak lives on in writing and convention stages. As sci-fi franchises expanded, he stood firm in his era's legacy, critiquing change with wit and candor. In Barney Miller, he commanded a precinct with wry wisdom and sharp suits. Now 94, Hal Linden performs cabaret and stage shows with silvered poise and a deepened timbre. His once smooth face is lined with years of craft, not retreat, thriving as live theater honors what television first revealed. Like a faded badge from Starsky and Hutch, David Soul's legacy carries grit and grace. Before his passing in 2024, he embraced life beyond the lens, his blonde curls long gone, but his voice deep with wisdom. He turned fame into purpose, championing human rights and soulful expression abroad. From highway chases on chips to a life behind the scenes, Larry Wilcox traded the motorcycle uniform for entrepreneurship. At 77, with close-cropped gray hair and a veteran's posture, he's more focused on advocacy than autographs, shaped by war, fame, and an industry he now steers on his terms. Remember the tough but tender detective from Simon & Simon? Gerald McCraney now lends gravitas to dramas like This Is Us. The mustache is wider, his frame broader, but his voice resonates deeper. As TV shifted toward complex narratives, he evolved into a character actor who commands with quiet conviction. From the Waltons' earnest John Boy to Shakespearean stages, Richard Thomas has aged into gravitas with grace. His youthful softness has weathered into dignified lines, his roles richer. As wholesome dramas waned, he leaned into theater and prestige TV, embracing the depth time carved into his craft. Once racing ambulances in emergency, Kevin Tighe now moves at a thoughtful pace, his hair white, his presence seasoned. Typecast early as the all-American rescuer, he later found his stride in nuanced roles and stage work, reflecting a shift from action-driven tales to textured human storytelling. As Keith Partridge, he made teenage hearts race across America. By the time of his passing in 2017, David Cassidy had swapped pop stardom for quieter pursuits. His feathered hair thinned, his voice matured, yet he remained a symbol of 70s youth culture, forever echoing through jukebox memories. Like a well-worn novel that only deepens with age, Alan Alda, forever Hawkeye from MASH *, carries a legacy of wit and empathy. At 89, his stride slower, speech softer, but his mind remains fiercely engaged. As the TV landscape fragmented, he stayed focused on science, civility, and truth. Once leaping from muscle cars and the Dukes of Hazzard, Tom Wopat now favors jazz clubs and Broadway over backroads. His tousle mane trimmed short, his presence more introspective than rowdy. Rather than chase nostalgia, he reshaped it, proving depth can follow a rebel's early fame. He once lit up screens with matinee idol glam, from the Persuaders to classic films, then aged into a bold, experimental painter. Though Tony Curtis passed in 2010, his legacy spans beyond charm. He defied typecasting, embraced reinvention, and left an imprint on both pop culture and the fine art world. Blazers, big collars, and radio chaos. Gary Sandy ruled as Andy Travis in WKRP in Cincinnati. Now 79, with a softer frame and silver hair, he's focused on the stage, far from sitcom glitz. As laugh tracks faded, he returned to his theatrical roots, choosing craft over celebrity in a shifting industry. As B.J. Honeycutt in MASH, Mike Farrell brought heart to wartime comedy. Now 86, with gentler posture and white hair, he speaks out more than he performs, dedicating his later years to activism. While Hollywood chased spectacle, he pursued meaning, turning fame into fuel for humanitarian causes. A motorcycle and megawatt smile made Eric Estrada iconic in Chips. Today, the uniform's retired, but he still rides, now for causes, not cameras. His jet black hair is now streaked, his stance steadier, but the charisma endures. As law enforcement dramas evolved, he leaned into public service and outreach. Surfboards and mysteries defined Parker Stevenson in the Hardy Boys. Now 73, with silvered hair and a lens instead of a script, he captures life behind a camera. The teen idol jawline softened, his focus shifted, choosing photography and direction over the flash of fading fame. Once called the king of the miniseries, Richard Chamberlain's presence was as polished as the epics he starred in. Now 91, with white hair and a philosopher's calm, he reflects on a career that helped redefine romance and masculinity, moving quietly from idol to introspective icon. As President Bartlett on The West Wing, Martin Sheen shaped political hope on screen. At 84, his hair whiter, voice steadier, he remains deeply engaged, less red carpet, more causes. From 70s rebels to modern conscience, he fused fame with activism, long before it became fashionable. The gravel-voiced detective of Mike Hammer now prefers poetry and narration to tough guy roles. Stacy Keach, 84, with a softer frame and dignified beard, embraced storytelling beyond typecasting. As TV tropes shifted, he leaned into Shakespeare, proving nuance outlasts bravado. From commanding the Starship Enterprise to orbiting Earth in real life, William Shatner remains a force at 94. The once jet-black hair, now snow-white posture stiffer, but his voice, still theatrical, echoes across fandoms. As sci-fi exploded into a genre empire, he became both icon and curious explorer. Once America's TV dad in The Cosby Show, Bill Cosby's legacy is now tangled in acclaim and controversy. At 87, with slowed speech and friendlier form, he lives far from the spotlight. Once a trailblazer in black representation on TV, his story now sparks debates on art, power, and public memory. He was the polished face that joined sitcoms mid-run, from Married with Children to Happy Days. Now 66, Ted McGinley's look is refined, his screen time rarer but deliberate. Once typecast as the show-ender, he turned that joke into a badge, navigating Hollywood with irony, charm, and resilience. Teen idol in the Hardy Boys, Sean Cassidy once filled stadiums with screams. Now he writes behind the scenes, shaping thrillers and dramas for modern TV. The golden hair is now cropped and gray, but his creative spark evolved. As bubblegum pop faded, he quietly became a storyteller with range. Like a bright spark preserved in a time capsule, Michael J. Fox, of Family Ties and Spin City fame, still radiates optimism. Now 64, with a tremor in his step but clarity in his cause, he's become more than a star, an advocate whose courage rewrote how Hollywood speaks about illness. Once the smooth operator in Dynasty and Star Wars, Billy D. Williams now moves slower but still exudes charisma at 88. His rich voice mellowed, mustache trimmed with silver, he remains a symbol of suave power, having opened doors for generations of black leading men in primetime. In L.A. Law, Harry Hamlin's tailored suits and sharp jawline set legal drama standards. Now 73, with salt-streak hair and quieter screen roles, crafts a second act in indie films and advocacy. As primetime formulas faded, he pivoted, shaping stories with depth over spotlight. Just one more thing, Peter Falk's Columbo defined quirky brilliance. By his passing in 2011, the trench coat was retired, but the character's imprint remained. His squint deepened with age, voice raspier, but he turned understatement into art, leaving behind a legacy of offbeat genius. From grunting through Home Improvement to voicing Buzz Lightyear, Tim Allen was once the embodiment of 90s masculinity. Now 72, his hair is thinner, delivery drier, but his comic timing remains sharp. As sitcoms evolved and family values fractured on screen, he stayed relevant by embracing generational shifts with wit. As L.A. Law's slick Arnie Becker, Corbin Burnson redefined the TV lawyer archetype. Now 70, with white blonde hair and a softer glare, he explores faith-driven projects and indie films. As prestige TV eclipsed glossy dramas, he pivoted to producing, choosing stories with soul over courtroom swagger. In Buck Rogers in the 25th Century, Gil Gerard soared through space in satin suits. Now 82, the swagger's quieter, the frame heavier, but the fan devotion remains. As sci-fi matured into multi-billion franchises, he embraced his roots, connecting with audiences at conventions and in nostalgia cameos. Once the steely calm at the center of Hill Street Blues, Daniel J. Travanti helped usher in TV's golden age of realism. Now 85, with a scholar's posture and gentler voice, he's rarely seen on screen. Typecast early, he instead invested in theater and introspection, favoring depth over fame's demands. Once the fast-talking charmer in Animal House and The West Wing, Tim Matheson now opts for directing chairs over center stage. At 77, with a sharper gaze and silver-tinged hair, he shifted from teen idol to behind-the-scenes craftsman, shaping stories instead of simply starring in them. Born into Hollywood royalty, Desi Arnaz Jr.'s life was a spotlight inherited. In the 70s, he headlined TV with boyish charm. Now 72, with a quieter demeanor and time-worn features, he stepped off the stage. Choosing privacy over performance, he guards a legacy written in Lucille's ink. He blurred lines between leading man and auteur, Bugsy, Shampoo, and beyond. Now 88, Warren Beatty's cinematic shadow looms large, even as his public appearances grow rare. His once stylish swagger slowed, but his role in shaping bold, adult-driven Hollywood storytelling endures. Mustache thick, shirt unbuttoned, Tom Selleck ruled 80s TV on Magnum P.I. Now 80, in buttoned flannel and thoughtful interviews, he favors ranch life over limelight. His towering frame softened, but his screen gravitas grew, bridging old-school masculinity with lasting emotional weight. In T.J. Hooker, Adrian Zmed dashed across screens with feathered hair and kinetic charm. At 71, his pace is gentler, his look sleeker, dark hair now subtly graying. He's found new rhythm on stage and in teaching, turning the spotlight outward to help others navigate fame's sharp turns. Like a classic cab and taxi, Judd Hirsch's career keeps running, weathered but reliable. Now 90, with expressive brows and a weathered voice, he's still acting, resisting retirement. As sitcoms gave way to streaming, his grounded presence remained, proof that substance outlives format. Once the towering ex-football star turned TV detective and hunter, Fred Dryer now favors podcasts and independent projects. At 78, with a lean frame, close-cropped gray hair, and no rush to please, he sidestepped typecasting, redefining toughness with intellect and a producer's insight. As Bo Duke in The Dukes of Hazzard, John Schneider was every kid's rebel hero. Now 65, with a fuller face and silver at his temples, he blends faith, film, and philanthropy in small-town studios. While the General Lee's tires cooled, he steered his journey toward creative independence. From teen icon and Charles in Charge to a quieter life at 64, Scott Baio stepped away from Hollywood's mainstream. His youthful grin now framed by deeper lines, his path reflects a pivot, less about stardom, more about privacy and personal conviction in an industry that rarely forgets. Like a well-worn recliner on Married with Children, Ed O'Neill's appeal is comfort through contrast. Now 79, with white hair and a thoughtful air, he shifted from blue-collar punchlines to nuanced roles. As TV matured, so did he, bringing heart to every version of the American Dad. As the Rockford Files' smooth-talking sleuth, James Garner made cynicism charming. By his passing in 2014, his stride had slowed, but his wit endured. His once handsome face aged with quiet dignity, and his legacy remains, a blueprint for balancing toughness with decency on screen. On Mad About You, Paul Reiserth defined the 90s neurotic everyman. Now 69, his curls looser, expressions wiser, he's found renewed footing in dramatic arcs and thoughtful comedies. As sitcoms evolved, so did he, proving that self-awareness, not shtick, sustains a performer's staying power. Once the steely-eyed lieutenant from Miami Vice, now a thoughtful elder statesman of cinema, Edward James Olmos trades his sleek suits for quiet classrooms, mentoring leading storytellers. His silvered hair and softened gaze reflect a man who helped redefine heroism on TV, less bravado, more conscience. Like a chart-topping single that lingers long after radio silence, Philip Michael Thomas, iconic as Tubbs on Miami Vice, radiates retro charisma. The once slick afro now grays at the edges, but his creative pulse remains strong, composing, producing, and quietly rewriting what post-fame artistry can look like. Gold chains swinging, mohawk sharp, Mr. T once leapt from explosions in the A-Team. Today, he shuns spectacle for inspiration, his posture less pumped, but his presence no less bold. Beneath the muscle was always a message, and now he channels it through faith, public service, and hard-won humility. As Bobby Ewing on Dallas, Patrick Duffy was daytime's golden boy, strong-jawed, tousle-haired, and steady-eyed. Now 76, his gait is slower, his hair snow-white, but his creative spark endures. Between indie film roles and environmental advocacy, he remains a quiet cornerstone of evolving TV masculinity. Like an old rescue siren echoing through time, Randolph Mantooth, forever Johnny Gage from Emergency, still stirs hearts. The jet-black hair now silvered, the jawline softer, but his advocacy for paramedics burns steady. Off-screen, he's helped shape real-life emergency response with the same passion that made him a household name. From the freckled face of Happy Days to an Oscar-winning director, Ron Howard's journey spans TV innocence to cinematic prestige. His red hair faded, replaced by a thoughtful gaze and producer's calm. No longer the kid next door, he now steers stories from behind a camera, shaping Hollywood's moral compass. With aviators and effortless charm, James Brolin once ruled prime time on Hotel. Today, at 84, his walk is steadier, his hair a crisp white crown, but he still brings quiet gravitas in roles in real life. A voice of calm amid change, he's embraced elder statesmanship with understated confidence. As Starsky and Hutch, Paul Michael Glaser redefined cool, fast cars, faster wit. Now 82, his once boyish grin is lined with time, but his creative heart beats on through writing and directing. More poet than action hero today, he remains a symbol of emotional depth beneath bravado. Once the mop-haired teen idol of 8 is enough, Williams later traded fame for faith, swapping red carpets for ministry work. At 64, his boyish curls are gone, replaced by contemplative calm. Though the spotlight dimmed, his path reflects a bold rewrite, choosing inner growth over scripted success. Like a jazz riff that never lost its rhythm, Lawrence Hilton Jacobs, Freddie Boom Boom Washington from Welcome Back, Kotter still exudes cool. The afro's trimmed, the face wiser, but his influence endures. As both actor and mentor, he helped open TV's doors for multidimensional black male leads. Wickedly sharp in Night Court, John Larroquette commanded laughs with a raised brow and rakish smirk. Now 77, he returns in revival form. Less swagger, more soul. His once jet-black mane is snow-white, but the voice and timing remain razor-fine, proving reinvention need not erase the original spark. As Detective Dan Williams on Hawaii Five-0, James MacArthur's book Dano echoed across a generation. Though he passed in 2010, his legacy still lingers like a surfboard shadow at sunset, smooth, steady, unforgettable. A bridge between classic TV grit and modern cop drama, he helped shape the genre. Like a weathered saddle that tells 1,000 stories, Sam Elliott carries the American West in every crease. Once the stoic cowboy of the Sacketts and Roadhouse, now 80, his silver hair and gravel-lined voice embody enduring masculinity. On screen or off, he's a living archive of rugged restraint. Once the long-haired rebel of Renegade, Lorenzo Lamas graced screens with biker swagger and smoldering glances. Now 67, the locks are cropped, the gaze more grounded. Shifting from action leads to real-life aviation, he charted a new course, flying planes, not just fighting villains on a dusty highway. In Knots Landing, William Devane wielded charm like a scalpel, precise, dangerous, alluring. At 85, with silver hair and a sage-like calm, he now drifts between character roles and quiet political commentary. Once a master of TV manipulation, he remains a voice of intrigue, less flashy but no less sharp. As Dr. John Carter on ER, Noah Wall captured 90s hearts with vulnerability in Scrubs. At 54, the baby-faced intern has matured into a producer and advocate, his style understated, his stance thoughtful. While TV changed, he kept evolving, proof that leading men can grow without losing depth. Like a well-worn comedy album, Bob Newhart's dry wit still echoes through generations. The soft-spoken star of The Bob Newhart Show now walks with care at 95, but his timing remains peerless. More revered than ever, he's comedy's quiet patriarch, proof that subtlety never goes out of style. Once the king of observational comedy in Seinfeld, now a seasoned humorist in Sneakers, Jerry Seinfeld, 71, swapped sitcom sets for stand-up stages and interviews. The hair's grayer, the tone more reflective, but his comic clarity endures, critiquing culture with the same neurotic precision as ever. As Beretta, Robert Blake brought gritty realism to 1970s crime TV. His life took darker turns, but his 2023 passing reignited interest in a complex legacy. Fame faded long before the final act, yet his layered portrayals still haunt the frame, an artist forever entwined with controversy and charisma. Once a helmet-cracking NFL star turned TV cop on Hill Street Blues, Ed Marinaro brought muscle and heart to the screen. Now 75, the athletic build is leaner, the presence more measured. He mentors athletes and creatives alike, still pushing boundaries, just from sidelines instead of scrimmage lines. In F Troop and Mama's Family, Ken Berry mastered the art of lovable awkwardness with dance-trained precision. When he passed in 2018, fans remembered not just his sitcom charm, but his rare physical grace. A vaudeville soul in a TV world, he made bumbling look like ballet in motion. From sci-fi hero in Babylon 5 to romantic lead in Scarecrow and Mrs. King, Bruce Boxleitner once lit up screens with chiseled resolve. Now 75, his frame is broader, his hair silvered, but he thrives in voice work and conventions, still navigating galaxies, just through microphones instead of starships. Like a theme song that plays long after credits roll, Alan Thicke's presence lingered beyond growing pains. His 2016 passing came too soon, but his voice, both literal and parental, still echoes in sitcom history. Whether writing jingles or raising fictional teens, he defined 80s fatherhood with warmth and polish. From sun-kissed surgeon on Trapper John, MD to seasoned mentor on modern TV dramas, Gregory Harrison's heartthrob days left a soft imprint. Now 74, the tousled waves have thinned, replaced by a calm presence on screen and off. Once medicine's fantasy, he now brings measured wisdom to every role. Leather jacket zipped, thumbs up flashing, Happy Days Fonzie ruled pop culture. At 79, Henry Winkler keeps his cool without the costume, his posture a bit stooped, his humor sharper than ever. From Emmy wins to children's books, he transformed from icon to inspiration with joyful reinvention. Then versus Now Legends is feeling a bit lonely. 99% of you haven't subscribed yet. Show us some love and hit that subscribe button so we can keep bringing you the jaw-dropping journeys of your favorite stars. And if you're as fascinated by then and now glow-ups as we are, check out our previous videos. Trust us, they're totally worth your time and ours too.